Hello YouTube, Aaron here with another video. I'm not going to be playing any games in this video like I did in the last because it was playing over my voice. I want to keep this short, sweet and simple in this video, and this is just a showcase of my new SpitFire release that I've just made. Everything you see on the screen in just a second is what you will get out of the box. So there is some updates and I do want to show that all the time, although if I do an update now I'm pretty sure that will disappear and we can test that whilst I'm on video. But I've just yesterday released this as 2.images, and well, that will be turned off because of OBS as well, as you can see on the screen. If you're not a full-time Linux user and you're just getting into Linux, then of course you're going to want to know these things. Same thing I said in the last video. If you've got some things on the taskbar that you don't like, you can always hide them, and one thing that I primarily hide is the notifications, due to the fact that I use an icon which is part of my theme. But yeah, in that last video I talked about making the taskbar bigger and this bit bigger, so I could essentially let me just move some things out of the way because I don't really want to be getting a lot of my stuff on. But I'm going to be this is for my main machine I've got. As you can see, you've got two machines right here. What we'll do is we stick this here, and well, the camera's not really the best of imagery really, is it really? 720p on a small camera. I could obviously connect this to that. Just give me a second, people. I'm going to do, I think we're doing that. So, if I come here, and I'm going to take my two, and put that there. And what we do is we're going to extend, switch to screen, unify outputs. So then we've got two, is that correct? Yeah. Now the screen on, obviously, the screen that you're seeing just here, obviously with this unifying it isn't the same output as 720p, so it might just look a bit muffled. I don't even know if you can see anything from this video. Sorry people, I'm not professional, I'm working on it. I've always said that as well, to be fair. But yeah, I got a USB Type-C HDMI plug-in. I've had that for my Samsung S20s. This is an S25 Ultra. I've had that for my S20s for a few years now, and then I obviously realised that I could do that with this. So I'm going to do that for this video. It doesn't help having such long wires and whatnot, but essentially no, because well, that isn't going to show on the screen because it's like half the size. So if we do this, if we can bring it to size and show it, then we will hide the screen capture, and essentially I'm showing a mirrored screen on my TV from the gaming handheld, and yeah, I don't even know why I actually turned it into this image. I think we'll turn the main screen back on, and I thought I'd just show it in action really. I'm not just using a desktop. I'll unplug this and you can see the screen just turns completely off because I'm using a cable. What I do is I'll put this back over here. I just thought I'd show you the device and that I'm not running a desktop. So I don't know who's keeping up to date with my GitHub repositories and whatnot. I've been all over the place with projects. I actually have means now to put my projects on hold while I focus on some applications and stuff. I actually want to get back onto my Hyperland setup, and I could potentially set up SteamOS to boot Hyperland instead of KDE. And that, well, not SteamOS, the Hyperland setup. No, the Cachyos Handheld edition has files that I realised obviously work So how it functions, how it goes back to desktop mode, how it goes into gaming mode. I've looked at the files and how they function, and I believe that there's a way to convert the SteamOS or the Cachyos handheld edition into Hyperland basically, and SteamOS at the same time. So I want to look into that, because obviously Hyperland is quite it's less intensive than KDE. I mean, at the end of the day, this is running perfect, even better than SteamOS. Other than the fact that the buttons on the top, these buttons here, I can show. These buttons don't work on the KDE desktop, whereas on SteamOS they do, which is why I tried to fork a package to try and make that work. So I'm in the background looking at things to make this better, people. Please bear with me. I want to get back to the fact that I was testing SteamOS on this just yesterday, for the last 2 days, and I've been trying to fork SteamOS. I've actually got an email from the SteamOS teams, and I don't know why they're even attempting to help me, because from what I'm sharing, the information is basically saying that I am trying to copy their operating system. And I don't know if anyone knows, but the Steam client is actually closed source. But yeah, obviously for my own purposes, I'm allowed to do that. You know, I'm allowed to clone my system for my own purposes. So anyway, obviously I plan to clone SteamOS and allow people to clone their own systems in some way, shape or form. Obviously I can't supply SteamOS as a whole because it is closed source. If I did do it, I guess I'd get mainly just frowned upon. I could blame it on mental health and to say I'm trying to have fun, which I have got pen to paper anyway, so I wouldn't really be lying. But I was on SteamOS and I was trying to find things that were missing on this. And at one point I thought I would stay on SteamOS full time and then get rid of this, because I wasn't aware that these screens didn't really have the full proportion of what you would believe to be seeing. Because yeah, obviously I'm getting half a screen, and I've shown that in the last video. So like you've got a little gap here, you've got a gap here at the bottom, gap here. It's I don't know what it is, yeah, but now that obviously gaming handhelds have become a thing now, it's like we're going back into the retro era of putting half a screen in a device. So if I pay for an 8-inch screen, I'm only getting 6 inches because half of the screen's not being used. That, in my eyes, it's like living underneath a rock. What world do we live in? Personally, I love this device. Yeah, that is the only flaw that I can find. Back to SteamOS though, because obviously the whole point of this is all based around the handheld / SteamOS. I was using SteamOS and I just found that it's not as fast as the Cachyos handheld edition. One being that the processors don't process as fast as it would on here. 2 being that it's X11 when you switch to desktop. If you go to the console, it'll tell you you're not running a Wayland desktop, you're running the X11 version of KDE. So of course that's going to slow your applications down that are Wayland native. And if they're working on X11, they've got to use hacky scripts to make it work now, unless they're Wayland nesting, just like KDE did. I don't know if any of you lot know that KDE have most recently changed their desktop to work with Wayland instead of using an X-Wayland nest, which is something they did post on their website and they've been trying to work towards quite recently. And I'm on the KDE Plasma 6.5 developer edition right now. I was just testing it to see about the new SDDM screen, but then I forgot that I forked KDE Linux at a time when obviously they wouldn't have been using a new login screen package. So being that KDE doesn't actually use Pacman anymore, I'm not able to fork the packages from the installation, but I could at least go into the repos, because I've got the repos in the Pacman file here. I built this from scratch from Arch install, and without the right packages it will not work correct. You will have problems with applications loading. That's not the main issue, is that you will have problems logging in and applications loading and things working how you intend them to work. So yeah, if we go to ECT Pacman, we can obviously find where the repos and where the packages come, and basically we've got an unsigned KD Linux repo just here in the Pacman, and that's how I originally forked KD Linux, but KD Linux doesn't actually use Pacman anymore, and I'm fully aware of that because I've downloaded it numbers of times since I've forked it to test it, and I use the KD dev here and there. I've got 2 machines. I've got four machines now. 2 of them are packed away underneath the desk here. I've got 1 here, and then I'm using 1 as well. So primarily I'm using 2. I've also got my phone as well. But I test KD dev, and I have reported bugs in the past, and I'd like to get back into that as well. I'm all for looking at the new features. I'd like to know what's going to be next for my desktop, or my distribution or theme, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's a theme, it's a distribution, it's a desktop, it's whatever you perceive it to be. To me, it's just a work of art, you know, craftsmanship. It's 2.5 years worth of knowledge that I've gathered from absolute nothing. Where I was a Windows user, I was primarily using Windows, and obviously let's get on the desktop so you're not primarily just looking at me recording myself. But I was a primarily Windows user. I didn't really know nothing Linux related other than my phones, because I've always been primarily based on Samsungs. So my dad used to buy loads of my phones back in the day when I was younger, before I moved out and whatever at 13 into foster and care and whatnot. But basically, I got an S21. That was like my first ever Samsung I ever bought. Well, no, I had the S7 Edge. Was it S7 Edge? In fact, I had 2 of the S7 Edges. Then I moved on to the S10. Then from the S10, that's when I couldn't get no contracts with that company anymore. So I had to go buy phones, basically. And what I was doing was buying kind of like half broken phones, in a sense, with like the littlest thing of detail that would put someone off the phone. So I bought well, some of the phones that I bought were like that, but I started with a brand new S9. Brand new S9. I bought an S8, and I gave my S8 to my brother, and I gave the S9 to one of my friends, who destroyed that phone within seconds. And obviously tried to help him out. I felt bad about giving it to him after that, because I thought I could have given my brother the better phone. Anyway, prior to that, I got an S10 5G, which then and an S10, which then I gave my S10 to my brother, and I gave my S10 5G to my little son. And well, the S10 5G was already kind of broken because of going on a scooter. I cracked the screen, but it's still working, in the sense I really should have just got a brand new phone for my son. You know, he's worth that much to me anyway. But yeah, at the time I didn't think like that. I really didn't have no money to hand. I just got the phone out of the shop. He asked me for a phone, and I just thought, you know what, because I love him to pieces, I'm going to say yes. Yeah, and I should have said, I'll buy you a new phone in 2 weeks' time. The last thing I want to do, obviously, is put words into people's mouths and not do them. There's a word for that in the English language, which I don't agree with. But I'm not a give and then take back. You know, I don't give things and take them back. That's the easiest way of putting it. Well, yeah, obviously, I had that S10 5G. I moved on. I got a new contract with EE, and that's when I got my S21 Plus. Then I got a new S21 Plus that same year, because they'd done me over. So I got a new phone completely for free on the house. They basically didn't give me my insurance for 6 months. I kept ringing every single day. But that's besides the point. And then I moved to an S22 Ultra. From there I got S23 Ultra. S24 Ultra is what I've also got as well. And then I've got my S25 Ultra, it's just it. But primarily being on Samsung and a Windows user, I didn't know nothing. And I just watched Chris Titus's Windows video just the other day. If we have a little look on the screen now, I haven't actually gone on the browser or anything just yet. But if we go to this video, I was just watching this, and this is something I didn't know, and I've obviously gathered the information from it. Oh, I need to put Windows on here, I think, to get Rockstar. But Chris Titus's tech about, when obviously I'm gonna have a lot of people where I don't use Windows, it's trash, whatever. But just like Chris Titus tech, I don't stick to one operating system. I'm not just a primarily Samsung user. I've got an iPhone as well. I'm not just a Linux user. I like to install Windows as well. You know, I've got I don't just stick to Linux or Cachyos. I'm gonna handheld edition. I'm gonna go use SteamOS as well. You know, I don't just stick to Arch as a base or Cachyos as a base. I'm gonna use other distributions as well. You know, not as a daily driver. There are certain things I will not daily drive, but I'm that type of person who will download the software just to find out what it's like to help others, because I enjoy helping others. And I'm all on the Telegram chats, helping people all day long. In the Penguins Eggs chat, Cachyos unofficial. I'm on Facebook talking to people. I'll just get loads of trash off of Facebook mainly. Oh, you don't know nothing. And the next thing you know, he's all messaging me, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I was like, well, at the end of the day, mate, you did get rude, but I'm not here to, you know, argue. If you want help, then so be it. I'll help you. Anyway, Chris Titus Tech 4 days ago, how to set up Windows. What a legend, you know. Have I even given a thumbs up to that video? I don't know. Probably have, because I did just watch it the other day. And there's some things I didn't know, and I thought, yeah, it's time to watch it, because I remember in my last video, I was gonna say something about Windows and setting it up with Tiny 11, and he's talking. I didn't even know his software could do things with ISOs. Now that I know that he's got that, I'm more than happy to use it because of the bloat on Windows. But yeah, I was a Windows user, Samsung, Android, iPhone. I test software. I've been testing the iOS since iOS 6. So I was iOS app developer. Well, I didn't even make applications. I was learning at the time, and I should have carried on doing it really. But I bought a developer account, which was £100 a month, just to get at the time, just to test the software and try and make my own applications. I was learning. It was $100 a month, which is around about £80, isn't it? And only quite recently did I message an Apple and reported a problem with music in the background. And I swear to God, yeah, whether you think this is true or not, yeah, the message that I sent, I woke up in the morning and Apple Developer was completely free. All editions. So the public betas were already free, but you know, the insider program itself, I don't even think it's called that. Apple Developer, is it, or whatever it used to cost $100, is absolutely free now. And I swear to God, I believe that's because of me. Because after that video, it's been free ever since. And I've been reporting bugs and testing since iOS 6. So that account, that would have been linked to when I used to apply for Apple jobs as well, which I had an interview with in the Penta Hotel back in the day in, was it 2015, I think it was. And I used to put my CV up to Apple I'll be updating my CV every day pretty much. And I did get an interview, nearly got a job. But anyway, I moved on to Linux, and that's where I didn't know nothing. And I thought I need to make a desktop on Linux so that I can use and be happy with. Just like I don't know his name, but you've got X0 Linux, who's trying to obviously fork money out of people and believes that the best way to keep his distribution going is to charge people for it. Which I perceive to be wrong. Well, obviously I want to progress. I want to make my distributions better. So throughout the 2 years and learning things, because there was a time where I had to put Arch to rest because of Penguins Eggs becoming a problem, me not knowing too much, and I had to do months and months and months and months of research just to get back onto Arch and be able to make a clone. And then I made my own software. I said to Perio, I'm going to make a turkey for Christmas, I said. He knew what I was saying, because he's called Penguins Eggs. I said, I'm going to make a turkey. And I made a turkey by Christmas. I said, yeah. Well, basically, what I mean by turkey is I made my own software to clone the system. And I made a turkey. I made a flamingo. I I made a duck. I made every bird underneath the sun pretty much. I got into Inca system containers, BTRFS images, dot images, dot raw. I can do dot raws. They're very, very similar. Anyway, I could use the same thing, just change the format of the file that gets made at the end. I'm pretty sure. I got into KD Linux testing more, and yeah, I was like so. From making a theme with the icons that you see on the screen that I've edited now, so like the GNOME system monitor, we've got the activity overview here. You know, I progressed to make the taskbar smaller. I forked someone's menu, Plasma 5, and I used someone's menu in Plasma 5, which I did give credit to as well. And then obviously Plasma 6, I've been making my own widgets now. So pretty much the only widget that I don't currently make that you see here, apart from the system tray, is this. This is the only widget on my taskbar I don't make. I make... Oh, I don't want to play that. I forked this menu, so this is my menu. This is my taskbar buttons. Yeah, I made this widget. So normally taskbar buttons would have like a circle thing spinning. I removed that and made my own fork of it so it doesn't do that anymore. What else? I've changed the icons now. So like the dolphin menu icon would normally be something like yeah, so it'd be something like that. And I didn't like that, so I changed it to my own icon colours with Inkscape, which is why it's on here now, so I could do more editing and things like that. We've got OBS Studio installed now primarily. We've got Inkscape, we've got GIMP. There is more testing and things that need to be done. This is version 1.0, so there's room for improvements. I'm not too sure where I can improve, but I'll get to that when I think about it, because, you know, there's always new things, like, apart from the buttons that don't work here, obviously the trackpad, I'll show you here, that obviously these buttons don't work, whereas on Steam they do, and on Steam this doesn't work, whereas on here it does. So whatever Cachyos is doing compared to Steam, I don't know. Obviously on Steam you've got X11 as well. You've got no power profiles, because it's not a full desktop. And they even said it's not for desktops. So that'd be wise, because they've missed the packages that are actually needed to run a full desktop, such as power profiles. Is it KD power profiles? Power profiles something. Or D-bus power profiles? Can't remember. So yeah, I built the taskbar. I actually made a clone of the taskbar in GNOME, and I tried it a second time but failed. I had everything that you can see, yeah. On the taskbar now, obviously these weren't here, but the icons itself were pretty similar. I even had a photo of it. Apart from, obviously, if you click this, then the GNOME application application layout would pop up, but the theme itself was similar to this. The activity thing would work. I could open the system one out. It was like a mini Windows GNOME-ish type thing with my favourite colours. I could do things I couldn't do on the KD taskbar. But in the end, I said GNOME is not really for me. Even I like the Android theme inside of it. I like that, like the minimal side of it is what I liked at the time, but KD as a whole is just so much easier for me to use. I mean, you've got all these different things that you can do, and you've got widgets. I mean, if you want anything GTK3 based, you can oh dear, obviously I just installed this. I'm not cloning it again. Room for improvement, like I said. So it seems to be that this seems to be too big for this screen, so maybe now that we're on here we can maybe take it a little bit down. I don't know. Want more of them and want less of this. have a look. But the smaller we take it, the less likely we're going to be able to see anything. So like you would really want it at that size. And we'll take these rows up a bit more. I'm not really feeling that. I don't know how this one is going to work, people. I'll primarily set it for a certain size so we could see the applications. As you can see, you're not actually seeing the full applications here. That's not good, is it? So uh, 10 rows. There's not really a way to make this possible, really, I don't think, being that we've got such a small screen. We could turn the user off because we ain't going to see that anyway. Anyway, so I moved on from my friend Robert, who I haven't spoke to for a while now. He's got a lot going on, bless him. I don't really know him that well, although I was speaking to him for quite a long time, and he was there when I first started doing my business and whatnot. But I primarily was using CodePal because he gave it to me, and I was using it with him. So I was using CodePal to code YAD applications for my distribution. If any of you ever downloaded my first ever releases, that was what I was using. And then I moved on to try and make Wayland applications, and all of the different things would just randomly open individually. So I'd have like 5 different tabs in one application that would normally load. But where I was using YAD and trying to do Wayland YAD, all of them tabs would open individually. So you'd have 5 different things on the screen just randomly pop up like. So that's when I moved on to Python, PySide 6. That for me, it was like Python was very, very bloated, and some of my things were like 600 megabytes just for one file. And I'm like, whoa! Now my application's like 2.5, nearly 3 gigabytes. I'm like, whoa! So then I learned C++. That's why I moved on to C++, and I was learning Rust at the same time. But Rust is not reliable. Like people say, Rust is really good language, but it's worse. It's being worked on. It's being progressed to make it better, to make it what everyone wants. Whereas C++ has already had the years and the troubleshooting and stuff like that already put into it. So it's a well-made language from the get-go. Of course, there's going to be problems in any language that you do, and even if you're like me, should I say, that I'm not a coder. I can read code in the sense of editing it. Anyone can pretty much do that once they gather the basics. But me as a person, I use a coding bot. You know that if you've watched videos with me using DeepSeek, because that's what I use. And obviously on my GitHub, I've got DeepSeek written all over it, built with DeepSeek. In fact, that's my own custom icon that I built. I got the DeepSeek logo from the DeepSeek website. I type the words in, built, and then using, and then I put the DeepSeek. So that's something that I made myself and put on GitHub. But yeah, it was one of them things. I had to start here and work my way up. And I'm going to get back into testing software now. So I installed SteamOS to give it a test, and I was having problems with certain things not loading correctly because we're using X11 on the desktop, whereas obviously, I don't know if you know, obviously KD Dev is on its way to push out the new Wayland, full Wayland KD desktop, because KD as a whole at the moment is using an X Wayland nested, X Wayland nest. So we've got flies coming in. So it's using the X11 protocol and nesting that into Wayland. And what KD said on their desktop is exactly what I'm going to say now. It's a hacky script. It's a hacky script to do the task. It's not the full protocol of Wayland. I don't know what the drawback to that is or whatever. But for some reason on SteamOS, I'll try and open gparted for it to scan the drive. It'll take ages to do that. Yeah. My Wi-Fi keeps dropping out on SteamOS. Also, if I don't keep to the screen and do stuff on the screen and the screen disappears for 5 seconds and I load it back up, my Wi-Fi drops again and then I have to reboot. As well as that, SteamOS will not always boot. It will not always boot. You'll be stuck with a screen for ages. You'll be waiting nearly half hour for it to boot into one screen. Whereas this, I've been getting issues with cloning. I don't know whether that's to do with me not waiting long enough, because sometimes it does take long to load in when you first initially boot. Without F-Stab. But obviously, I don't know. I'm going to be working on that to see where I get with that. I've got all of my scripts online, saved. As soon as I make something and it works, I'll post it on my Google Drive. It's up there, it's saved. And I've lost a lot of stuff throughout my time, what hacky scripts and whatever things that I had like a zip package manager, so that you could make zip packages of things and install them, and it was just a funny task that I was doing for the fun of it. I've actually got a core utilities package that's on my Google Drive as well, so that's like, it's written in C++, and what it does is you type in activate on you execute it with the activate command. So like, say the application is called I think I was calling it the ASSU, I'm pretty sure. No, not the ASSU. Something or the other. So say that it was called Pac-Man. The package is called Pac-Man. If I execute the package with a certain command at the same time in the console, such as activate, it will activate the commands for Linux. Then I put it all in the user bin directory. Is it user bin directory? So when you type a command, the commands actually come from the user bin directory. And they're obviously run by the bash core utility. So bash runs the core utility runs the bash, and the bash is what runs the commands, if you didn't know. Well, you do now, anyway. So obviously I tried to make my own core utilities, and it's online. And what you do is you activate it. It puts all the commands that normally work with Linux into the user bin directory. And then you just type your commands. And that's where I added my... I was working on it. I had my Arch ISO commands integrated into there. My system tool was integrated into it. I integrated my own commands into my own core utils package that I was building in C++. And it's online, and it does generate everything, and it seems to look cool. It's probably about 200 different commands in the core utils itself, which it was saying to me is going to be very complicated to make unless I knew bits and bobs, which I did, because I actually forked the core utils package to put Pac-Man inside it, and also forked Pac-Man. I made like some custom Pac-Man package where you could, it's got the AUR built in a sense, so you could install your package from the AUR, and I was just integrating an update feature, which is actually it's actually got the feature inside of it, but it's not fully implemented in a way that it's stable. So I might look at that in the future. But yeah, I've done a lot of different things to be where I am today, stable, to know where I am. And I was speaking to someone today, just on Facebook, and he said, "Oh, I've just installed SteamOS." He's like, "Whoa!" I was like, in a way, I'm happy that you've installed SteamOS and that you're happy, mate. But you're not getting the best performance. SteamOS even say this: do not install this on desktops. He's saying that he's tested Nabara Gaming Handheld Edition. He's tested Cachyos Handheld Edition, and he's tested SteamOS Handheld Gamers Edition. SteamOS, yeah, on his desktop. And I'm like, but we're talking about Lenovo Legion here, mate. Your desktop's got a completely different type of CPU, mate. This is an APU, but not a lot of people understand that an APU is a CPU with a graphics card built in, and the terminology for a graphics card that's built onto a CPU is called an APU. And what's it called? APU, the term of it. I need to get back to it now. I need to learn it. Accelerated processing unit. That's exactly what an APU is. It's a internal graphics card built into a CPU, and obviously not a lot of people would know these terminologies because they didn't study ICT or computers at a time. Unless you actually study into computers, well, you know the different terms of computers. So like you got the term bottlenecking, which is quite well known, I guess, to most people. That's another form of computer term. But APU is the full term for a CPU with a graphics card built in to it. And well, I've got one here that's using a graphics card, an external graphics card, and obviously it's got its own CPU. Whereas this is a CPU and a graphics card as one. Of course, there's going to be a drawback. There's going to be a bottleneck. The bottleneck is that you've got your graphics built onto one card, mate. And so anyway, he said that he's tried them all on his desktop. I said, well, that's got nothing to do with the fact that we're talking about Lenovo Legion, basically a tablet in a sense, if you think about it. But that's got nothing to do with the hardware we're talking about, yeah. And I said, you've this, because he said, oh, I've tried it. I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this, yeah, which is the three that I just mentioned. And I said, well, I doubt. I said, so you've distro hopped on your Lenovo Legion, then, have you? I doubt it. Yeah, and that's when he mentioned about the desktops. So he straight away was telling me what I knew. He's testing the software on his desktops and trying to say, oh no, this is better, this is better, this is better. But the hardware between your desktop and this is completely different. He might have an AMD CPU in his desktop and an AMD CPU in here, but the difference between the two models is why you're seeing a complete different thing, you know. And then that's why I've been testing SteamOS Cachyos Handheld Edition on my Lenovo. You know, I don't mind distro hopping on here. I'll go get a new NVMe. I wouldn't be able to get the same components I've got in here. I wouldn't be able to buy this brand new if it broke here. But at the end of the day, obviously I'm a lot more clued up when it comes to things like that because I've been making and cloning Linux distributions for 2.5 years going now. So since October 2023, if you work out the dates on that, that's since when I've been cloning Linux systems, whether I've been using someone else's application or my own. Because obviously I started using my own since last year, September. That's when I actually got my own out, around about that time. For ISOs anyway, and obviously I've moved on to .images now. But yeah, when he brought that up, I was like, so now you distro hopped on your Lenovo? I don't think so, mate. Yeah, better than that. Steam is using an old kernel. That's what I said to him. Steam is using an old kernel. Then the desktop runs as X11 when you boot into it. I love SteamOS because obviously that is what's brought all of this into the picture. We wouldn't have this if Hollow ISO, should I say, made their custom Steam or whatever, you know, and whoever initiated the whole process of making the Steam as a gaming thing, good on you, you know. And yeah, SteamOS is very, very good. I'm not saying it's complete trash. It's not complete trash, but there's room for improvement because, you know, one, they're saying it's not a desktop. Two, it's running as X11 when you run into the desktop. Three, it's using an old kernel, which I don't know for whatever reason that is. Obviously, they've got their own tweaks or whatever. But with every kernel release, there's newer features. And stuck on 6.11 means that you're basically stuck in time. We're on version 6.15.1 now. So whatever's been released since then, all them fixes, all these new features, and what you're missing out on is obviously going to bog down your computer and slow it down. As well as that, obviously, Arch is rolling release. You don't want to be stuck on one kernel on Arch because the packages are going to break. You know, the kernel runs on newer. This is the thing. Obviously, SteamOS has been built in a way where they want it to be primarily based on their packages, but that's not how Arch is built or why it was built. It's meant to be a rolling release because one package will break if it isn't up to date because of another. No, one package will break if another's not up to date, you know, or missing something or this, that and the other. That's how packages work. So if you're going to stick with time, this is why they've got their own repos. Yeah, you're going to stick with time, then you're going to stick with bugs. And like KDE is saying right now, KDE is not LTS anymore. It's going to be a rolling release desktop, just like GNOME. I'm pretty sure GNOME's going to push for being a rolling release as well, because they know if they stick with time and don't update their desktop, then all of the new packages that come out are just going to keep breaking their desktop completely. They've got to keep with time. To keep with time, you need to keep rolling, and that's why I don't use Ubuntu. I've washed my hands with Ubuntu. I don't use it no more, because I'm not stuck in that box where I'm on a laptop and I can't use Arch because I haven't got the components to do so. I want to be on the latest Qt. I want to be on the latest GTK. GTK, because the newer GTK and the newer Qt means better performance. The newer updates contain newer fixes and newer features to make your hardware faster. The whole basis of a Linux distribution is the kernel, and then if you want nice eye candy, then it comes down to Qt and GTK packages, which is what performs all of the UI. And if you ain't got the latest version of them packages, of course all of your applications are going to be running slow. Of course you're going to be bogged down. Of course there's going to be bugs. Needless to say that it does run 90% of the time good anyway, whether you're on the latest package or not. But with time, you will see the differences. This is why I'm on Arch and I'm not on Debian or KDE Neon or whatever. That's why I test KDE Dev, to test all of these different features, to know what's coming next, to keep with the times, and help. I help, send reports and keep up to date with the KDE Facebook. But the whole stuck with a kernel and stuck with a package isn't good on Arch, because if one package requires another package, obviously they're going to have their own repos or whatever. They're going to be stuck in time. They're going to be stuck in time on 6.11 using X11, claiming to be the best for gaming. And the sound plays up here and there and whatnot. I just don't think he's good. I'm on bleeding edge hardware. This is the latest, one of the latest CPUs on the market. Whether it's a 4-core with 8 threads or not, it's still one of the better CPUs on the market. Yeah, I'm not using an Intel, mate. I don't need to be stuck on an old kernel because you started off on Debian, like, because obviously they started on Debian, was it when they built SteamOS or whatever? People need to get with the times and realise, if we don't keep with the times and we stick with the same boat all day long, that boat is only going to rot. Say that boat's made of wood and you rowing it round 24/7, it's going to rot. You need to switch up. Evolution 2025. I'm using this here and I'm having no issues that, apart from the buttons on the side here, I'm having no issues like I had with Steam. And if I come into here, we can see we're running Wayland. Where is it? Discharging window. Yeah, we're using primarily Wayland. If you're on SteamOS now, check this. Change into desktop mode and go and install NeoFetch. Yeah. The way to do that is to type in sudo steamos -disable. Let's get this, come on. Let's get this, come on. Steam. I'll just message it to my friend. What's he talking about? SteamOS, sudo steamos -read only disable. Type that command in, it removes the read-onliness on SteamOS, allows you to install a package. Kind of. So then once you've done that, you want to do the sudo pacman -init command to generate the keys. That will then allow you to download packages because you have the pacman repo keys. Once you've got the pacman repo keys, then you're going to want to download fast fetch or neo fetch, and this, or you could even come into here. You go into system settings, come down to here about system, and come. Nice. What happened there? I don't know. What's going on with that one then? That's not good, is it? First bug we found. Might even be that the screen is too big or whatever. But you can go into system settings on SteamOS, I'm pretty sure, and then you'll find out that you're on X11 and you're running 6.11 point whatever the hell it is. Yeah. As well as that, you're not running BTRFS. You're running ext4 as a home partition. I think you might be able to change that, to be fair, but I'm not too sure. And your Wi-Fi will drop out, which is what I found. And if you start putting USBs in there and things like that, it starts loading very, very, very slow. Well, I needed to test them both to know, you know, what problems am I going to have, what features am I missing. KD team were involved with making SteamOS, for those that actually didn't know, that the KD team were actually involved with making SteamOS with the Steam team to make it better as a whole, I guess. They've been working with Wayland, they've been working with Steam, KDE, they've been working with Arch. But overall, yeah, I do think that this is the better end of the deal. We are, however, getting rid of some features, should I say, or things, and I'm all for that. I'd rather be on Wayland, I'd rather be on the latest, whether, you know, this is obviously testing software from Cachyos. If you don't know, when you download it, it pops up a message to say this is testing software and take it with a pinch of salt. Obviously, I'm better off using. I'm better off with Wayland. I'm better off on the latest kernel. You know, I'm better off on the latest KD packages to come out, because I don't know if Steam. I don't know if Steam are installing the latest KD packages, but you're going to want to be on them anyway because it's rolling release. Oh, she's big. Normally I wouldn't even put it at that, so that's why it's not looking too good. If we go back down to the system settings now, it might work. Ah, then the system settings is broken. There is an update. Should we do an update? And that's the reason why I'll more than likely primarily use this if I don't install the desktop edition of my operating system on it in the future. But new headers. Let's see if any of this does anything. There's a new kernel every day now, it seems to be. I know I said the short video, it really hasn't been. So I installed this earlier. I've been on here now with the uptime of 53 minutes. I obviously noticed as well that for some reason the screen is going 190 after install. So that's going to be one thing that you're going to want to change as well. I normally have mine at 150, so whatever happened to make it 190, I don't know. We've got obviously, yeah, got my variable refresh rate, color profiles, brightness. It's a shame that we ain't got no 4K on here. We obviously can't reboot people, I know that. I don't know why I even attempted to install the packages. I'll more than likely finish off the video, reboot, I'll post the video online and I'll put in the comments if I fixed anything like the KD settings. As far as I'm aware, like, I didn't have that problem before I just booted into it. That 190 looked quite nice, dude. I might even keep it at 100. Well, here we go. We've got to wait now for this to refresh. Here we go, back to normal. I'm going to put that to 190, I think. Back to 190. They look quite nice. How did we even get to 190? 190 is pretty much the... Oh, that's why the... That's why the thingy doesn't work then. That's why this didn't show properly. So we can actually put that back to normal size. So yeah, of course, you're going to want to log in and just change that from 190 to 150. Because for some reason, it's obviously changed that. Then you can come in, you can turn show user off. Because it's not going to show, I'll be honest with you. The full, well that's alright, innit? Yeah, so you're going to want to have this at 150. That's what I normally have it as. I don't know why it's taking it to 190. I haven't even set it to do 150. For some reason it's doing 150 plus. Normally I leave it at 100 as normal default settings for people. And obviously, as you can see, the desktop was set to 1080p. So that's just like default settings as well. The only things like that I'll be changing really is the system settings power options. So I'd normally turn these off, but for some reason it doesn't always save. So with KD and their bugs, there's going to be problems with it changing all the time and whatnot. As well as that, in my new updates, I'm going to be adding the colours for Apex into here. So like the new Apex colours, the new SpitFire, the new black themed SpitFire I'm going to be putting in here. Also be doing the same for Apex. So I'll be putting the individual colours for the 3 different distributions that I provide for people to choose from. I'll put the icons as well. Well, it normally is in the op directory. Basically, once you've DD'd the images, obviously you only get what space you've put. Or I had in the clones dot images. So yeah, I need to boot into a live environment and resize the partition to be full size, but for now this will do. I normally put all of my stuff to do with my application in here. System tool, as you can see, I've got tons and tons of different little things that work with my system tool. Is this how we started? I can't remember. No, that's my old way. I'll just show you my system tool quick. It is actually called the Arch System Update Systems. Home patch control. System app. So this is my new system app theme that I'm yet to update again, and it's not on the home screen simply down to the fact that I am primarily focusing on getting updates of this out in newer releases. But basically this allows you to change themes, and it did work at one point. I'm not going to test it. It's not stable just yet. But that allow you to change into the different colours and different themes of my desktops that I provide, and there is like 7 of them I believe now. So you got like the KD, it's called KD Reef, the theme of Reef, which is what you'll see if you boot into the ISO that I've now just provided online for this when you first boot. I've also got Mosquito, which is like a green theme. I've got Hawkeye, which is like a blue theme. I had like a purple theme at one point. Gold is Man of War, which is an old release that I made. Then we got Torpedo, which is another old release of Arch that I used to make. There's various different themes that I obviously used to make. We can go back into where I just was, to be fair, and I could actually just talk about them for a minute. Is that one? Little theme changer. Doesn't work. This is why I'm saying it's not stable. I haven't really been focusing on it because some of the things that are in it, like the GPU side of it and stuff, were really just hacky little scripts that I really didn't know too much about. Whereas like the system update scripts and stuff like that you see here now, is pretty much what I want to be supplying, instead of like GPU drivers and stuff like that. If you want to install all of that, then obviously there's Cachyos commands in the console, such as it's the gaming meta package, I believe, on the Cachyos. I can't remember what it was called. But these are features that I like to give. So you can lock the kernel and unlock the kernels. That I used to provide Arch at a point where the Arch kernel was not stable no matter what distribution you was on, and Manjaro got a bad name for it because obviously the Arch kernels weren't stable, and it's claiming to be stable and had its own repos providing broken kernels. So it wasn't their fault. It was actually to do with Arch itself as a whole wasn't really stable back in 2023 or before. But we've got the Man of War, we've got Mustang, Torpedo, Mosquito, Lancaster, Hawkeye, SpitFire, Plasma Light, Plasma Dark, and Reef. And now we've got Apex, and we've also got the 2 SpitFire themes. And we've got all the different colours to the different desktops that I'm not going to be testing. Like I said, it's not stable. A lot of this is not stable. We've got different little things. So KD Dev, I can't remember what this does. It just opens Firefox for some reason to a certain website. But yeah, basically all of the themes are here. The themes, and I've got system sounds. So like this is some of the ones that I use. Shut down. This is my shutdown sound for what I'm using on here. I'm pretty sure it's this one. That one I just played. This here. That's the shutdown sound. And I've put the login sound as this. Yeah. So this is the login sound for SpitFire, and this is the shutdown. My original sounds for my first ever desktop on Arch would have been this. And then I did have a notification sound, but it doesn't work. So I don't know a lot of people know, but there's not a lot of Linux distributions on the net that can do custom things like this because they haven't sat there and thought about it. KDE Linux and SteamOS and myself are the only ones on the market that are actually doing things similar to this that I'm showing you now. SteamOS is the only other one because KDE Linux don't have login sounds. It has sounds on the desktop that other distributions don't have. Because obviously they're the KDE team, they know what they're doing. They're going to set it up in a way and do things that other people don't. And I like that and I respect that because that's what I do. And maybe they're learning it from me. I don't know. I don't know. You know, obviously KDE as a whole obviously very good at what they do. So I'm not saying that I am the reason why they've done that. Although it is something I've done for 2 years now. 2.5 years I've made. 2.5 years my distributions have had login and shutdown sounds. Yeah? Anyway, SteamOS is the only distribution on the market with a login sound. Yeah? If you have a look. Yeah? Apart from me. I'm the only other one because I've been doing it 2.5 years. So my login sounds, like, you can check this file. When was this file ever? Oh, 9th of June. Nah, that's a lie. I wasn't even born in 1980. And I've used various different distributions, KDE Neon, Ubuntu, Kubuntu. I've used the best distribution on the internet, MX Linux. I've launched OpenSUSE. None of these distributions, because they're all corporated, do silly little wacky things with login sounds and things like that because they want to be professional, and professional isn't login sounds. That's more for gamers, as SteamOS or the Steam team obviously know, you know? Which is why they've done what they've done. They've done their login sounds. That's why Apex had this sound. I actually do like this. I think that's a good sound. I will say I do get my sounds off of Zedge for all those that actually want to download and find some other sounds or whatever. You can customize this yourself. I'm not going to show you how to do the sounds now because that's information for me to know and for you to find out somehow. Because I took 2.5 years of doing it, so can you. What else? I changed the Brave browser theme color to suit the desktop as well here. I did install some packages to try and get this thing to work. I don't know. The KDE system services probably doesn't work because I did install a KDE package. So I'm going to uninstall that package. Touch screen gaming, so it can find it. Browser trackpad, touchpad, mouse. There is no trackpad setting. Ah, I like that. Hey, keyboard. See, I'm trying to configure extra buttons. I don't know, does it? So I'm now trying to find out how to get these buttons to work. I did install some KDE Steam, some sort of settings for the KDE. So what was it called? KDE. Should have really done my research into this instead of installing random packages. There was only one package that I did install. Could easily be removed. Plasma remote controllers. So that actually might be the reason why it can register the trackpads now. Although I do believe that was already working anyway. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. There's more to be tested. There's more to learn. With time comes knowledge. With knowledge comes better things. I'm not one person to say, I don't know how to do it. How do I do this? How do I do that? I actually go on the internet and research it and do things. You know, people go on Facebook, they will go on the internet and they'll ask people how to do things without actually at least going on an AI bot, which is, in my eyes, AI bots are good. They should not be teaching AI bots to little children. Little children should work the hard way until they get a certain age. I don't know what people are going to think about this, but this is where I come from. Children should not be using AI bots. Yeah, they should learn the hard way like we did back in the day until they get to a certain age, say 16 years old, which is when they can start using the bot to learn, to make things easier to learn. But at a younger age, they need to learn the right way, the hard way. Otherwise, they're gonna have it too easy. They're gonna think they know everything when they don't. And obviously, with bots being reference only, what they're learning is gonna be misinformation. We all know that. We all know that because it says it at the bottom of every single AI bot website for reference use only. So why are you going to teach children to use an AI bot at such a young age when they need to be learning the right things, not the wrong things? You know, you're hardly going to put a 2-year-old on the internet and tell him to use an AI bot now, are you? And well, this is what they seem to be doing now. The modern generation seem to be pushing towards teaching kids how to use AI bots in school. I'm sorry, I come from the era of not knowing anything, yeah? And I'd much rather learn the hard way than to use something that could potentially teach me something that's incorrect. No. Because of information it's forked off the internet. So yeah, people be saying, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that. Go on to Chris Titus's Tech's YouTube and go through his list of videos for a month, yeah? And that will get you up to scratch. You know, there's so many different topics in them videos that you can learn from, and that's what I did. And from there, you will be a lot better with computers or whatnot. You'll learn things that you wouldn't know if you don't know them now. And it'll just make you more confident as a user. Of course, there's going to be things that you're going to want to ask people, and things like that. But I generally say to people, if you don't know your computer at least enough to understand the BIOS settings, then you should not be installing Linux. I'm sorry, but it doesn't stand. If you don't know your BIOS settings or how to use your BIOS and change the settings in your BIOS on your computer, then you should not be using Linux. And that's down to the fact of Linux is technical. You're going to have issues. Everyone's claiming to be LTS, but the desktops are going rolling. There is no LTS anymore. The only LTS that you're ever going to have is a kernel. You want to stay on that kernel, then so be it. That kernel will keep you up. That kernel will keep you running all day long. But if you want your bit of eye candy, then you need to get on a rolling distribution. Otherwise, you're just going to be sat on bugs where KDE system settings ain't going to open, where the minimized desktop won't work, or it won't log in, or something or the other, because you've stuck with a certain set of packages on a distribution that's claimed LTS, because there is no LTS anymore. The only LTS is going to be that kernel that you're going to be running, which just like Arch runs all day long anyway now. Been using Arch for 2.5 years going. 2 years ago, no, it wasn't stable. But now, I'm up day and night using it. I'm on it. How long on here? How long have we been running on here? I know this video's been long. But we've had 53 minutes of uptime at that time there. We do a fast fetch because I don't use neo fetch. Yeah. How long have we been running now? 1 hour 19 minutes. Not needed to reboot. No problems other than the fact that obviously system settings is played a bit up. That could be KD related since it's a rolling release now. But at the end of the day, it's better to be rolling release than it is to stick with bugs. Either way, you're going to be on bugs, but they're going to get fixed faster and you're going to get newer features if you're on a rolling release. So, yeah, obviously a lot of people will be posting on these Facebook groups and things. How do I fix this kernel problem? How do I fix that problem? And that's where I work myself down to the fact of learn your BIOS, learn how to regenerate and fix kernels, because it really isn't hard to fix a kernel that doesn't boot because it's broken. All you've got to do is boot an ISO chroot into the image. I'm not going to give you the technical steps in full. I'll give you a little small guide, yeah. And this is how I learn. So you're gonna want to learn to use your BIOS. How to change the hypervisor? Is it? No, it's called. So how to turn VSync on. How to turn the memory up so you've got more memory when you're gaming. Because that's one thing that you can do with the Lenovo BIOS on here. You can turn it up to 8 GB on this because this is a 16 GB version, it's not the 32. There's all these settings obviously that you're going to need to know, because if your computer wipes itself and defaults back to how it was before you bought it, if you bought it for someone who set it up for you or someone else who set it up for you, then you're going to need to set all them settings back. So that's something that you're going to want to learn straight out of the box after getting a PC, is how to change your BIOS settings. Then when you're running Windows, if you're running Windows or you're on Linux, say you're on Linux automatically or you're automatically on Windows, download virtual machine software, then download a Linux distribution, then download the Linux distribution, whether you're on Linux or you're already whether you're on Windows or you're already on Linux. Yeah, and then research on how to regenerate the kernel, which is really easy. How to chroot into an operating system in a virtual machine, which is really easy. So you install an operating system into a virtual machine, boot the ISO again. That's all you got to do, boot the ISO again, research how to chroot into that operating system you installed, then learn how to regenerate the kernel. The kernel is an easy one, I can give you that. Sudo make init cpio dash capital P, and that is for Arch. For Ubuntu, it's sudo init ramfs dash capital U, I believe. It might even be small u. I haven't used it in such a long time, but that is the basis commands to generate the kernel. A lot of people be getting kernel problems. There's your fix. 7 times out of 10 that will fix the problem that people are having with their kernel when it doesn't boot because it's corrupted. I say 7 times out of 10 because it's not 100%. It's not 100% when you install Ubuntu and get a corrupt kernel, or Calamares installs your system as corrupt because Calamares is unreliable. It always happens. You install your system at the last minute, it'll break on something, or Calamares won't even open up because of Python. Being that obviously Linux is primarily built off of Python and C++, if you didn't know, and C, should I say. The C language is the core basis to Linux, whereas Python is where most of the modules and stuff is built off, So they all work together. These are the 3 languages, as well as Bash, of course, that Linux is primarily built off of. Primarily, really, they're built off of C, C++, and Python. That's how they mainly work. Yeah? And, well, obviously, Calamari is unreliable because Python's always being updated, this, that, and the other. And that's what will cause your installation to fail, or Calamari's not to work, or something like that. Like KPM Core is another package that Calamari uses, because Calamari, if you didn't know, was primarily built for Arch KDE, and that's when they started deciding to make it. Well, no, sorry. Calamari was primarily built for KDE. Obviously, it supports the different distributions, but it was primarily built for KDE, which is why it's built around KPM Core, which is KDE packages for the KDE partition manager. And obviously, I do a lot of KDE testing, and I know KDE packages like the back of my hand, because I've built KDE, the KDE dev, which is behind you right here, from scratch. Obviously, I've done it through the KDE Builder SRC. I've done it from Arch install with the KDE Linux packages, which is better than the KDE Builder RC, because you don't have to sit there compiling the packages 3 hours plus, depending on what system you've got. Even then, it doesn't matter. You can have 12 cores and it still takes 3 hours to compile. It takes a very long time. And yeah, it's like, obviously, these things you're going to want to know. You're going to want to know, because the last thing you want to do is install third-party open source software from someone who's sat at home. Yes, Ubuntu are a big company, but you don't know them personally, and you can't take them for professionals because they're on the internet. Just because they're on the internet and got a big name for themselves does not mean that they're professional. You don't know them. I don't know them. They're not Microsoft. They're not Xbox. They're not a paid company. They're open source company. Yeah. So of course, when it comes down to trusting these companies, you take them with a pinch of salt, just like me, because I'm just like they are. I'm a developer promoting a product for something that I've made at home. Same thing with KDE Neon. You know, all of these projects are all built by a group of developers. Yeah, fair enough. But they're all made at home distributions. Apart from the enterprise distributions, every other distribution is a made at home project. That's what it is. It really is. And a lot of people don't understand this. Yeah, they're a group of developers, fair enough, but you don't know them. I don't know them. Some of them might have worked for Red Hat in the past or whatever. But these companies, they're not big companies. They wouldn't have been big companies unless they had the users that they've got now. And they're not professional because they're open source. They're an open source company. How can you say they're professional? They're not. They're a made at home company, just like I am. And some of the best things are made at home. Don't get me wrong. You know, they're professional in their own way. You know, but pen to paper they're not, in my eyes anyway. They're claiming to be LTS when nothing's LTS anymore. If I see LTS on that desktop in a week's time and I go on there, I'm gonna laugh. Needless to say, really and truly, obviously, it's each to their own. Everyone likes their own desktop. I did start on Arch. I moved on to I started on Nobara, worked onto Arch. Got onto KDE Neon because I couldn't actually keep on Arch at the time. Couldn't keep cloning because of reliability issues. Started building KDE from scratch, applications, and it's a matter of, you need to test things to know what it's like. I'm not saying that I know everything, although there is things that I do know, in a sense, being that I've studied, I've done my testing, I know what KDE uses primarily once you log in and boot, you're looking at around about 1.6 GB to 1.7. It might have worked its way down now, being that we are now using Wayland and not X-Wayland nested. That at the moment is obviously because I've got loads and loads of different applications open. It's not short video, is it? I've got a keyboard as well. I've done it again. I don't want the keyboard. I don't want the keyboard. Turn that off for a minute. It's doing my head in. What we doing? 4 GB. No, fast fetch again. Swap. Quite a lot of memory usage just for a desktop, really. What is? Oh yeah, because I'm on the internet and I'm recording at the same time. So primarily, unless you put KD in an Incus container, which then it will only use about 900 megabytes worth of memory. If you're using it on bare metal, you're going to be using about 1.7 GB as a like I'll say 1.5 as a minimal, and at the highest 1.9 on idle. Just logging in with nothing open, not even just the console. Just open the console, it'll pop up fast fetch, tell you your memory. That's the sort of testing I've done. I've done it on KD's Dev. I've done it on KD Stable, I've done it on Ubuntu, I've done it on Arch, and as a whole, yeah, this is why I want to try and do the Hyperland side of the handheld edition. As a whole, this is very heavy. This is maybe 4 GB on idle is heavy, being that I've only got 7 anyway. It's quite heavy, don't you think? Whereas normally I'd be on idle, so yeah. I don't know how that comes into this conversation, really. Being that we're on the handheld edition now, so obviously it's stuff running in the background. I'm on OBS, so whatever's running on OBS could be doing that. There's 800 megabytes on top of what KD would be using. So if we do the maths here, I haven't even got the Discover Store open. It's running like Windows at the moment. So if we do the maths, I'm not really good at maths. So 3.66 minus 3.66 minus 300. Put an O at the end of that, don't we? Yeah, we don't put the 6. Don't put the O. So 3660. Yeah. So that's 3 gigabytes, 660 megabytes. So that makes sense. Yeah. Then what we do is we minus 895 megabytes, which would leave us at 2.7 gigabytes, and we're all obviously using certain things as well. So still quite high for something that's idling. I'll obviously have to now reboot and obviously let it update the packages as it reboots as well, and then just see what it's like on idle and go from there, really, because this is like a whole new thing to me. Obviously there might be processes in the background that might not show any for some reason, that are causing a bit more. We've got plasma shells 1.1 GB. This is OME. I obviously have a package list of things that I do install, so you know what's installed on here anyway. Just like normal regular stuff. But anyway, 1.1 GB just on plasma shell, which seems about right. System D 2.5 GB, PAM using megabytes should I say, and PAM using 1.9. 200 on the K Winway, so we are still using X Wayland. As you can see, this is actually still using X Wayland, and if we was to go onto my desktop screen right here, we go to the system monitor, and we're going to do the same thing on this screen here, and we're going to see that we're still using X Wayland. X Wayland video bridge is what you want to see. Where is it? X Wayland video bridge. K-Win Wayland, X Wayland. There should be another package on here which I see on my other screen called X Wayland video bridge. And the reason why we don't see X Wayland video bridge is because this desktop has been started with Start Plasma Wayland. That's why. And that will basically X Wayland video bridge is definitely not on here before I make this remark. Well, that will basically mean that this desktop isn't launching the normal way that Plasma would launch. Because Plasma uses X Wayland as a nested protocol to then transfer into Wayland. So it's not full Wayland, it's a hacky script, which they are meant to be changing, but as you can see in the 6.5 dev, it's still not been changed. I don't, however, see that in amongst these processes, what makes me think that this potentially isn't using that hacky script. But what do I know? I don't know. It does say X Wayland in the processes, so yeah. It could just be the same. They are looking to change over to direct Wayland. Whether or not they do that this year or next, I don't know, because obviously not a lot of people know that QT7 is coming out soon, and normally every QT7 every QT release, I know obviously Plasma uses GTK as well. For those that don't know, you also have an option to install GTK settings for, I don't know where the hell I saw them. There's no battery left. I needed to drain my battery in here anyway. I'm tired anyway. Dying. Get back to business, eh? I don't even know what I was on about then. Yeah, they used to post on their website. They posted on their website they're changing over to Wayland, and They've been using hacky scripts. There is a way to, because obviously Plasma comes with GTK packages, because it actually supplies a method to install custom GTK something. I can't remember what the hell. Plasma style something icon. It's one of these Plasma style application styles. So we've got, if we go here, configure the GNOME/GTK application style, which is why I say Plasma primarily uses Qt and GTK and not just Qt like most people would think. Anyway, every Qt release uses newer headers or whatever it is. So when Qt7 comes out, Plasma's going to have to rebuild its whole thing again. I'm not too sure if that's going to be the case, but from what I understand, and I don't really understand a lot, that's what I think is going to happen, and they're going to have to do the same thing again like they did with Plasma 5. And if we go on here right now, I'm going to type in sudo pacman q qt 6 base, we're going to find that we are on 6.9.1-1-1. So it's obviously going to be called Qt7 base next, and we've got a few updates, to be fair, but it's not long, being that Qt6 was Qt6. We've had Qt6 now 9 times, so we're on release 6.9, not 6.0, 6.9. So for however long it took to get from 6.0 to 6.9 where we are now, we ain't got long left till 7.0, which is where everything then resets, I guess. I hope it don't. I really hope that it's going to be a lot easier for the KD team this time round. But you just don't know, do you? But this is the basis to your Linux eye candy, and if you're using Linux, if you've got a desktop on Linux, this is what supplies your bit of eye candy, and without these packages here, you wouldn't have your bit of eye candy. So it's always best to know what's going on with these packages, because without these you wouldn't have anything. And this is why I always say to be on the latest Qt or GTK packages, because they are what provide your performance to your computer. That's what provides the graphics, that's what provides all of the things to load it correctly. And well, you don't want to be stuck on Ubuntu using the latest hardware, using an old kernel and an old Qt package, because it's going to bottleneck your whole system. What's the point of having all of them components to use packages that can't even let it perform how it needs to perform because of bugs? It's a matter of what time. No, it's a matter of what year and time your PC puts you in. So like if you're using your grandma's hand-me-down laptop, then of course you're going to be stuck in a time from when she bought it. So she bought that laptop back in 1800 BC, and she give it to you now, and you're using that as a daily driver, yeah? Then that's the year that you're going to be stuck in. You're going to be stuck in 19,000 BC. Whereas the computers that you get today, they'll last more than 10 years long. I think this here, I'm on AMD Ryzen 4. Alright, that's got another 10 years in it, I reckon, yeah? I know there will be a time where I'm going to be stuck at the time when I first bought that CPU, but for the moment, I'm still rolling with the times. It's better to be rolling with the times than be rolling with your grandma's hand-me-down laptop stuck in 19,000 BC using Ubuntu's old LTS kernel with an LTS, well, it's not even LTS anymore, a KD desktop from that era. I'm not saying this wrong, but we can't all live in straw houses. We can't all be Patrick, you know, with a cup of coffee outside of his, with a cup of coffee, with his rock led up like that and a cup of coffee in his hand. You must know there's a Patrick picture of him in a cup of coffee. He's not drinking it. He's got his thing up like that, his rock. And we can't all be Patrick drinking a cup. Maybe he should drink that coffee. He wouldn't be living underneath that rock, yeah? But we can't all be Patrick with a coffee in our hand living underneath a rock, mate. You know, we've all got to have our own different ways, whatever. Fair enough. But we've all got to have common sense, really. You know, if I'm not saying that we're all using our grandma's hand-me-down laptops, but in a sense, if you're using something from a certain time and it's drawing you to have to use certain operating systems because you can't use other operating systems, then you need to upgrade. If your PC can only handle Ubuntu, then you should maybe look into upgrading because you're missing out on a lot of things. Yes, of course, Ubuntu's stable down. Yeah, there is no stable anymore. When is anybody going to understand that there is no stable anymore? Stable is what you perceive it to be. The desktops are going rolling. The kernels are always rolling, you know. And if you want to be stuck on a broken desktop with bugs for 6 months to a year, then that's you. If you want to do that, then do it. I'm not saying it's the end of the world doing that. It might be the end of your computer because a package that they install, yeah, they might update a package in that repo system 6 months later, and it breaks that whole desktop because that desktop relies on a package that they've just updated, whereas on the newer package that's already been released and been tested and everything else, it works perfectly fine because they've updated it. Yeah. It's like Alpine released just 6 months to a year later as well, and at the time I was on I was using Alpine. Alpine was on KD Desktop 6.0.5, and I was messaging him. I was like, I want to make a custom Alpine clone, but you've got your packages stuck in a twist, mate. And at the time, 6.5 had so many bugs. I even reported a bug on 6.5. I had a bug. I had multiple different. One of the bugs that I encountered, I can't actually say exactly every single one of them to one that I had. Well, one of them is so if we went into here and we went to the display configuration. Say I had 2 screens. So this would be my primary. I had my TV plugged into this, and I had 2 screens. And I'm using that as a secondary desktop. So I'd have my normal applications here, and then I could scroll them across to that desktop there. If I set them to extend each other on 6.0 on KD 6.0.5, if I set them to extend each other, and then I want to change that setting, so if I change it from default extending that desktop to that desktop, I want to change it now so that they've got individual displays, it wouldn't work. That was a bug. So I reported that at the time, got a thumbs up. They fixed it relatively quickly, and there was lots and lots of other bugs. And well, obviously Alpine at the time was on 6.5. I was like, mate, you're living underneath a rock, mate. And I gradually come away from the whole system dealer system, being that it's just more room for bugs. If you use a system dealer system, when you go into the system monitor, nothing works. You wouldn't see any applications here. I'm pretty sure that these wouldn't show. If you go to processes, you ain't going to see no processes because this all works from system D modules. This works through system D modules. This works through system D modules. KDE is primarily built around a lot of System D modules, and unless you compile it in a certain way at compile time to work a certain way, obviously that they clearly didn't, the Alpine team. Obviously they would have known this, to be fair. It's just one of them things and features that you ain't going to get. Just down to the fact that you decided to go on an open RC system. Or system D-less system. And then there's a lot of people that say, yeah, the system D loads faster. I've been on it. It's a lie. They all run the same. My system boots just as fast as my old open RC system, or system D, system V in it, or R unit. Is it R unit? I don't know them all. I know some of them by name, but not all off by heart. But there's tons of them, if not thousands. I don't know. And they all boot the same speed. I don't know why people are saying OpenRC's faster at booting. It's just opinionated. And I've been on it and I thought it was cool. And look, I'm sitting here now. I used to release Arctic respins. And I used to respin Devon. And people that say, obviously, that, you know, these distributions load faster, it's just opinionated. And I can do that from my own test. And as well as that, people say MX Linux is the best Linux distribution on the market. How can it be the best Linux distribution on the market? It's supplying broken software, because it won't show any of these. So you're not getting a full KDE desktop experience. You're missing features. They're basically breaking features. The MX Linux snapshot tool is not for everybody. Obviously, I make my own cloning tools. My mate used it and said he had issues. I'm not too sure what issues he said he had, but he said he had issues with the MX snapshot tool. I'm pretty sure it wasn't cloning certain files he asked it to clone or something. The thing is, there's a lot of things in the underground world. So when it comes to being a company and being something that's not really on the market in a way, you know, and I don't go by DistroWatch. I never went on DistroWatch to pick up a distribution to then install it. That's not how I learnt my distributions. I went on YouTube. I studied. You know, what's the best gaming distribution? What's the best application for gamers? I'm doing that as well. I'm doing that throughout the month to think, to try and make my distributions better. So I'll keep up to date with Chris Titus Tech. I'm always watching DistroTube. I used to watch Brody Robertson. I don't know if I'm going to put a lot of people off here, but his voice does my head in. I do go on quite a lot as well, so yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't know how long this has gone on for now. I said it was going to be short, but obviously it's been nearly 2 hours, isn't it? But he's going on about this, that and the other. And he was going on about KDE and talking crap about KDE. And I'm like, well, I'd done that nearly 2 months ago. And then I squashed everything I said because we can't talk about a distribution. It's only come out. How can you call KDE 6 crap? It's basically what he said on camera. KDE 6 is crap. Yeah. And I said, well, you're not getting involved. You're not compiling the software. You're not reporting bugs to make it better for the community. You're complaining about something that's only just come out. KDE 6 has only just come on the market. It needed a lot of more improvements. It needed support to be what it is today. And he'd rather just sit there in his chair and all this and that and the other and read forums and bug reports from people, but not actually report bugs himself, you know. And I don't need to go on the internet to show my bug reports. You know, I'm on KDE Dev, I'm on KDE Linux right now. I don't need to prove anything. Whereas him, he'll sit on his KDE, he'll sit on his Hyperlink desktop and talk crap about forums and not actually do anything to know some of the stuff is very, very, very intellectual, and then some of the stuff it's like, what the hell are you going on about? Discriminate against people's software? Yeah. I don't personally know what Brodie Robertson is in the community of Linux. Is he just someone that talks about other people's products 24/7 on YouTube? Is he a Linux creator? I don't know, because I don't know Brodie Robertson. All I know him for is being on YouTube talking crap about people and things on the internet. Needless to say, obviously, like I said, he's intellectual or whatever, but his voice does me in. Some of the things he talks about is like, bloody hell, mate. So I just watch Chris Titus Tech mainly now. DistroTube, I'm sorry, mate, if you ain't watching my videos, but like, I don't watch you as much as I used to anymore. I do follow it. I'm not subscribed in the sense the way I'm paying, but I am subscribed to his channel. I do pay for Chris Titus Tech on YouTube. I'm constantly watching that to keep up to date, like I said, about apps. And that's what people need to do. Go on YouTube, research about something, spend an hour, gather some information. You learn something new every single day of the week. If you haven't learned anything, then what have you done with your day? I'm not saying you're in the wrong for not learning, but at least take that metaphor, take that metaphor, slogan, whatever you want. It's not a slogan, it's a metaphor. Take that metaphor and use it for what it's worth. You learn something new during the day or throughout the week, and if you haven't learned anything, then what have you done? Use that as an influence to learn something, because that's what I'll be doing. I'll be learning, I'll be creating, whatever it'll be. I need to say as well, I keep saying that word, obviously, there's not much I'm learning these days, which is why I go on YouTube, because a lot of things is all up here already, and we do forget things from time to time, so I'm always on YouTube learning that thing that I did learn in the first place, because it's not written to hand or up here at the time. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. There's nothing wrong with living life, and forgetting the odd thing. Listen to what people have to say with a pinch of salt, and taking your own from it. And with that, really, I really don't know what else to say. I just thought I'd show you this running. I'd showcase it, you know, talk about it a little bit. Some of the things I've done. 1 hour 47 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry that it's been a long one. I don't know when I'm next going to be making a video about anything. Although I will say that I'm looking to work on my is it Apex Hyperlink? No, Apex GameStar. I'm going to be working on this. This is what I'm doing now. So I don't even know if this is going to come up. No, it's not. This is an Apex Linux. This is my distribution photo. Apex GameStar. I'll do this quick and I'm going to call it one penny boys. 4 in the morning where I live. Oh, if I type in Apex GameStar, I type in Apex Tools. Oh, it knows who I am. Oh dear. It knows who I am. This is my, I don't know if there's any photos and I might have removed it. Click for photos. Yeah, I might have changed that the other day actually. So this is my custom Hyperlink desktop that I'm thinking to maybe transfer onto KD as well, which I originally built it for KD. I changed it into Hyperlen because of the Hyperlen hyperctl commands. So when I open an application from a list that's within this list, so if I click that icon there and click on Dolphin, because the Dolphin will pop up, it would open the application into the next screen, and it'll take you to that screen. And then as soon as you close the application with a keyboard shortcut, it will take you then back to this screen, which is what I like. This is a loading screen, so when this bar loads, as it loads, these enlarge, so that one will enlarge, then it'll go back, and then the middle will enlarge, it'll go back, and then that would enlarge. And well, I haven't updated this in like 3.5 months now. I've got like a custom browser that goes with it, loads of different applications. This was for gamers, and I think that this might be the next best thing for Steam OS. And this is what I want to put in it. And it's got custom sounds when you click. You've got custom sounds. You can play music on the desktop. You've got a custom loader that I need to put the resources for. So I've got the files online somewhere, but I need to get the resources for it. Yeah. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I don't know when I'm going to be posting anything next because I'm just going to get at it. I'm not a professional. I'm learning, and hopefully I've got some things to show from what I've learned in the next one. Having a good day or night, whatever time it is when you watch this video. Sorry it's about 1 hour and 57 minutes. I really didn't know what to say in here. I just wanted to keep people up to date because I don't really share much on the internet these days.